Good Saturday morning. I'm running a little bit late. It took a little longer than I thought to go over or to go through everything that has occurred over the last 24 hours. Thought I was ahead. I was not, so it put me behind a little bit. Good morning to you. 72 right now as we wake up to the Saturday. A little cloudy outside, and we expect this to clear off and to be hot. 92 before it's all said and done. Now, officially, the fog advisory has ended, but as I go to radar, let's pull this up as we pull up Meridian Honda radar. Not quite out of the area just yet. If you live in Philadelphia, all of this area here earlier had thick fog, but we're still showing this in western Kemper County and northeastern Neshoba County and into Winston, a little bit there, also in Knoxville County, that Four Corners right there. So if you're in that area, you still have a little bit of fog knocking down, holding on to you there. So drive careful this morning in all these areas. And we'll get into the threat of excessive heat that is on the way for tomorrow and also Monday. We're going to have a heat index somewhere around 105, and out to the west of Meridian, even higher. The counties that adjoin Lauderdale County should be around 105. You go a little bit west of there, it's going to be even a little bit hotter in those areas. For there's no other way to word this. The last 24 hours, 48 hours as time starts slipping by has been a very, very sad time and a hard time for Mississippi in general, especially the city of Meridian, Lauderdale County, as we all mourn the loss of a police officer. One of the saddest times, the first time this has happened since 1985, of losing a police officer. At the same time, this is the exact same thing that happened in 1985. Domestic disturbance, to where a police officer arrives on the scene, an argument of some sort, dealing with a family member, a boyfriend, girlfriend, how you want to word it. Both of these involve that. I think most everybody, when the reports of officer down came in on this, most likely thought that this had something to do with gang activity. But again, it was domestic violence is where all of this became. He is in custody as we go to sammedia.network if you want to take a look at this and also look at his report. You can also click there. You can go right here. As you'll go to sammedia.network, you can double-click this here, and it will pull up this whole file, and it'll tell you everything about what's involved. But Dante, it has been denied. Capital murder charge. He's not getting out. There will be absolutely no bond set on that. Accused. We always have to remember that a person is innocent until proven guilty behind and the court system. Very hard to remember that from time to time when the evidence is overwhelming and the public knows it. But those are the facts. Now, I thought I would play this clip. There's a couple of clips that I want to play and let you see. Maybe you saw this, maybe you didn't. But at the end of this, if you will listen very closely, as we all know, Bender was arrested. He was tracked. They waited to a very, very safe moment to arrest him. They knew where he was. They were following him closely to make sure that no one else was in danger. And then they moved in when the situation where it couldn't turn into a gun battle. Let me word it that way. It was very smart on law enforcement side of how they handled that. But this is the arrest of where they're picking him up in Ackerman, and he's getting ready to be transported back to Lauderdale County to face charges. And as I pull this up, let's look at this, and I'm going to pull this out of the way where you can see the whole thing. But he is being handcuffed here. One set of handcuffs is being taken off of him by the Ackerman Police Department, and as he is getting ready to be transported back, they're changing the handcuffs. And if you'll listen at the very end of this, the officer tells him that he is getting Officer Croom's handcuffs put on him. And I really thought you ought to see this. It's just a few seconds long, but really makes that moment of understanding what has happened. And I thought I'd share that with you. And so let's play this. Again, the audio a little low there, but he goes, this is Officer Croom's handcuffs. And rightly so. That was the right decision to have done with that. Sadness. I went out with so many yesterday afternoon. I think most bridges in Meridian were lined with folks as his body passed through Meridian. Very touching moment. Brings a tear to your eye. There's no other way to word it. I was there. I was with many others. The fire department behind us as we watched this. It came down I-20 en route to Tuscaloosa. And I thought I'd play this also because of the escort of the body coming through Meridian. I thought you ought to see this. Let's show this so that you can see that as well. Let me blow this up and put this on the big screen where you can see this. And here we are. Again, a very touching moment, and he was received by that in every city from Flowood here. As I know I saw the Pearl Police Department videos posted that a huge welcome as well there in Tuscaloosa. I'm telling you, that was a very sobering moment. Is that the word I'm looking for? Touching. And again, I find it hard now not to get a tear to my eye on that. That's a toughie there. I've been asked about this because I haven't heard anything. Are flags being flown at half-staff? I haven't heard anything about it being a public thing released here in Meridian. I think my flag flies out front later. I'm going to go out and lower that here in a little bit. I think if you own a business, anywhere there is, regardless of whether the city officials are telling us, and they may have done this, and I'm just not aware of it. I could be wrong. I have not officially seen anything mentioned about this. I think we all need to lower our flags, half-staff, in remembrance of him. Also, there's not been a lot said about this, but we also need to remember the young lady that lost her life at the same time, Brittany Jones. That's been brought up to me. Bless her heart. From what I'm understanding, she had a family, and she also may have been pregnant also, who lost her life at the same time as the Officer Croom did. We pass along condolences to her family as well. Just a sad moment for Meridian. We've watched crime escalate. Each of us have. And I cannot tell you how many former police officers that I've spoken to that have had concern over the escalating crime in our area, and that they were afraid something like this would happen. And the unthinkable has. We've reached a point to where we've got to make our city safe. Again, this was domestic. It has nothing to do with, I don't want anybody to think that I'm accusing this of being the activity that we've had. But our officers need protection. They need to have backup. They need to have two folks with them no matter where they go. We need to make sure that they're safe. We need to make sure that they've got the proper bulletproof vest. You've got to put yourself in the place of each one of them. I get along well with officers in Meridian. They do their best. Lauderdale County, no matter where you watch, Mississippi Highway Patrol, they're good people. They're trying to earn a living like you are, and they just happen to protect the rest of us. And we need to know that the right leadership is in line. We need to know that they're safe so they can help the others in our city be well taken care of. And I think that's all we want. We want answers. We did have a press conference yesterday. It lasted, in reality, maybe 3 minutes. We truly need more answers. Now, I don't want anybody to take me wrong. Let me explain what I'm saying here. I think questions should have been answered there. I think everybody watching me would agree with that. I understand without a shadow of a doubt during an investigation, and this is what I was told, we can't answer questions on things that are currently under investigation. I get that. And I don't think anybody that watched that press conference would have a problem with an officer saying, or the leadership saying, I can't answer that because that could interfere with the ongoing investigation and evidence. We understand that. But we want to know what the plan is. We were told by the mayor not long ago. I spoke with Jimmy. You heard him say it. And I want to say, I would have to go back and listen to the clip, that he said he needed 15 months to get this in order. We don't have that. We have an officer down. We've had a 5-year-old die. Sad. Someone killed in their home. In our little town. So far this year, this makes 8 deaths. Count them. 8 of them. It is scary. I talk to a lot of people. I get your comments. They're sent in to me. A lot of folks are nervous of going to town nowadays. Rightly so. I promise you the officers that are working are doing their absolute best to take care of you. But we've got to have answers from those that are in leadership roles in our city. What is the plan? It's just I'm telling you, it's all that I can do as I talk to you now, not to break down in a tear, because it's so awful that we've lost someone this way. We have to pray for his family. Y'all think of these officers. As I was in that courtroom yesterday, you can see the sadness in the officers. Those that I've spoken to, that I know, that I've come in contact. It's like losing a family member. You work so close together. You have to know who you work with has got your back in a situation. I'll leave that alone. I think each of you know where I'm coming from on that. But we want answers. We want to know what's happening. We want to know that we're safe and the officers are safe with what they do. Those who protect and serve us. God bless them. We need them. We need more of them in our town, don't we? As I look at other things, I got this yesterday, last night. We always want to make absolutely sure we can do everything we can for the community. We have a missing young lady in our neighborhood, and I posted this last night, if you hadn't had a chance to read it. And I apologize before I say this. I speak Southern language very fluently. I have sometimes, when it gets out of names that are Earl and Jim Bob, I sometimes can't pronounce them as well. I think we all know that. So I'm going to attempt to say her name. Chantilly, I'm not saying that right. I can say Dawn Cruz, and I'm not saying her first name correctly. But she is missing in our neighborhood. She was last seen on the 8th. Today is the 11th. She's missing from right here in Lauderdale County. She was born in 1990. Kanka is her nickname. She's 32 years old. She's Native American. She's a member of the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians, our friends right up the road from here. She stands about 5'8", 190 pounds. Her eyes are black. She's reddish-brown hair. She's driving, or had, a 2015 yellow Nissan. That's the license plate there, SBB 704. She was last seen in Meridian, and as I read through this, if you'll read these notes here, she may have had car trouble. Telephone number is listed in this, if you hadn't had a chance to go through this. And let's click this picture. I think I can click this where you can see her a little bit better. Here's a good picture of her. Have you seen her? Her family is absolutely worried to death about her. We hope that if you've noticed her before, seen her, that you can report law enforcement, contact the Meridian Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, or the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians, their police department. Anybody there above that could help. We need her back home, and we certainly hope that this ends well, that there's an explanation is what we hope. But missing for a few days now. We always get concerned when something like this happens. So let's keep them in mind, and if you see something. I got several reports last night. and let's talk about this. And if you haven't checked your cars this morning, go out. There was a lot of folks roaming around the neighborhoods of Meridian, taking things that just absolutely did not belong to them. As we go out to one of the places that was mentioned to me this morning, as we look at Old 8th Street Road in this area here, I got reports of people trying to go through cars there also. Not good, not nice at all. I also got a note, and I've got a video that I'll get up here in just a little while ago. In just a little bit, we'll get to this. The 45th Avenue area. This is going to be off of North Hills of someone trying to break into their home. They got a little bit of video to it, and they've called the Meridian Police Department. They want to press charges. You can't see much by the video, but I urge each of us, get you some cameras to where you're a step ahead of the criminal so you have proof and know a little bit about who it was. Sometimes something that happens at your house may help a neighbor. Maybe they crossed in front of your house going 2 blocks down the road to do something they shouldn't have. Let's take crime by the horns, so to speak. Is that a word? Bothers me. I don't like people that do that, and neither do you. I also had reports on South Frontage Road. We had reports of people breaking in a car there on South Frontage Road, right down from where Checkerboard used to be in that area along South Frontage Road, over near the old fairgrounds, if you'll know where I'm talking about. Had some folks walking around trying to do the same thing there. We did have some reports of shots fired last night. As we go back to take a look at the pictures here, Martin Luther King Drive is where we had shots reported there last night. As you'll go in and look at this right through this area here. No one hurt, no one damaged with that, but still some shots were fired. We also had some other shots reported as we pulled this up. Let's take a look here. It's going to be out on Murphy Road last night. Officers responded to that area also. This is just out 19 there in the city limits. To my knowledge, no one hurt there either. But still, nonetheless, we had shots fired. We want you to know what's going on in the city so you'll know what it is. Again, check your cars. Make sure you wasn't a victim of crime overnight. We don't want any of that to happen to us, do we there? I'd like to say good morning to Janet Riddle. She is watching all the way, am I going to pronounce this right? Alamosa, Colorado. Beautiful out there. I talked to someone a few weeks ago that was there during the snow. Beautiful, beautiful. Amanda, how are you today? Glad to see you watching there. Miss Gail Gafford is up. Keith McCary. City and county should check all of their cameras on the road for the vehicle. There's not many of those, and as we look at that car that she was driving there, it is peculiar looking. It's not many of those. So if you happen to see the young lady's car that is missing, Keith, very good point there. Check the cameras, see if you see any of that. We want her back safe with her family there. Sheila Speed, how are you? Quitman, Mississippi, watching this morning. As we glance up here, also Amanda Lunsford, glad to see you there. Linda Culpepper. Maria, how are you doing there? Chris Reed is up. How are you doing? Saw Chris yesterday out with us as we there on the 29th Avenue Bridge. Glad to see you, Chris. Hope you're feeling better. Had a little procedure doing. He was moving a little bit slower yesterday. Stephanie had him stepping and fetching. Ann Hall, how are you doing? Glad to see you. Linda Jenkins, Thomas Rogers from DeKalb. How are you? Miss LaWanda Grantham. Glad to see you. And you're right. It has been 12 months already since the new administration took over. They don't have a plan, do they? Sure doesn't look it. If you do, we'd like to see this hidden secret. Good morning to Gloria Ming, also Stephanie Harrison. You're joining us there along with Beth Fig. We look around at a few of the things no matter where you watch me from, we try to cover all the news around the big stories that hit us around the state. Not far from here, not far from where I grew up. I grew up at a little town called Scuba, Mississippi. Anybody know where that is? Population 422 when I grew up there, including my 2 dogs that I had. Well, just north of there is a little town called Sugarlock. Whew. Things have changed. The Little Giant is no more in the town. Even the grocery store that used to be by the railroad tracks is gone, but it's been replaced by the Dollar General. Y'all know where that is, right there at the railroad tracks as you cross it there to go out toward Highway 21. The Dollar General was robbed a few days ago. We can't have that, can we? They've made an arrest in that. Noxubee County deputies have arrested someone Demetrius Prince. They've charged him with armed robbery. No bond has been set yet as he awaits that in the Knoxville County jailhouse. When me and Angie first married, I did a lot of work up in that area. I worked radio, the midnight shift. I would get in at 11 p.m. at night, and I would be there till 6:30 in the morning till Ken Rainey arrived to take over. During that same time, I would leave there and go be the milkman. I'd done both jobs for quite some years there before I fully transferred over to radio, and I knew the Macon, Mississippi area well, trying to get that milk to everybody. Columbus has arrested some folks in connection. Do you remember we talked about the officer's car that was broken into and they stole all the guns, 500 rounds of ammo, 4 or 5 guns? They made a few arrests. They still got more to go. 6 juveniles have been arrested, 1 adult in connection with all of this. They expect more arrests to come with that. Glad they are doing that. Good news for the state of Mississippi. I didn't even realize this had slipped in, but Olive Branch, it's in the northern part of the state, but it is Mississippi. Edelbrock, y'all ever heard of that? When it comes to automotive parts, they have officially opened up their new headquarters in the state of Mississippi. That's wonderful. We need more industry to come to our area. Meridian might stand a chance on that if we get crime shaped up and, well, we start getting our test scores at our city schools a little bit better. All of these companies look at that because they want to offer their employees the best that they can. You can't blame them. We've got some great test scores throughout the county. We need to get that a little higher there in the city. I know looks to be a change in the superintendent level. I'm not up to date on all of that, but I've seen a blurb or two here or there that looks like there's a change coming in that area. Don't know it all. It's amazing how you can read posts and how police are doing their absolute best to take care of a crime. And then you read the post underneath it of, is it naysayers? Is that the word? It makes you scratch your head sometime and go, you want to be protected, but then you want to run down the cops. Bothers me. I go to Vicksburg, and if you hadn't looked at their page, as they try also in Vicksburg, Mississippi, to cut back on crime, they've installed, and we've got to do this in Meridian. There's rumor that we might. Juveniles that are under the age of 18 that are out roaming the streets after a certain period of time, they're taken in, arrested, and their parents have to pay the fine. Well, maybe they're not arrested, but they're detained, and the parents are charged. They've started enforcing it at the mall there in Vicksburg. They made a big swoop on this and took some juveniles in. And the comments go on to say, well, you're ruining the business. You're certainly going to put all these stores out of business. That's not what the police department is trying to do there. They're trying to help the citizens. They have problems in Vicksburg of robbery, shots fired, murder, as we do here in Meridian. The police are just trying to do their job. You've got to work with them. Vicksburg, hello. I was shocked by some of those statements. It bothers me to read things like that. We got to support one another. And what's that word that your parents used to have to do to you? Tough love? And if you've ever known anybody, a parent, that didn't do that, you grow up with a 40-year-old that won't go to work, lays around all day, and some other family member has to take care of them because, well, they're just honestly too lazy to work. Do y'all know that type? They're out there. We got a whole generation of folks like that no longer want to work. They want that guy that gets up at 4:30 in the morning and drags to work, that has to eat a ham sandwich to pay for their living. Aren't you sick of that? I am. I know a few of them. Now, overall, our society is not lost. But boy, we sure have a lot of folks that want you to fix their ham sandwich or take half of yours to them. I think most of us are kind of sick of that. Best way to word that. As we look around, let's see here. I want to remind you of this. This is going to be coming up not too long in our community. A couple things that will be happening to help others. This is going to be at Meridian Honda. This is going to be on the 25th of this month. A car show for David Shelton. He is suffering from cancer in our area, and a car show is going to be hosted there at Meridian Honda there in the parking lot. It will kick off at 2 o'clock on the 25th, run to about 5. They got some door prizes they're giving away to raise money. I hope you can show up for this. That's a couple weeks off from now as we do that. Also, want to remind you that coming up at the Temple Theater is going to be a concert to help out Richard Ferguson. His family, his wife has been extremely sick. I think a lot of us know Richard. He's done Southern Gospel in Meridian forever and a day, hadn't you, Richard? I remember. Monday morning, for that show that's going to be at the 18th in Barbecue Plate Soul, they're going to be in Meridian, Ray Hedgepeth. Drop in and see me. On Monday, he will be at the pavilion next to the Little Kettle, right there in Meridian, from 2 until 6, selling tickets for the raffles, also for the barbecue plates, and to the concert that will be that night. That's Monday from 2 till 6. Hope you can drop by and visit Ray and help out Richard and his family also. Richard's done a lot for our community through the years. Good fella. His wife has been extremely sick, Alexa. She's a sweet lady. Known her all my life as well. Give a little help at hand, get a barbecue plate, and see a great show to help out someone. Don't forget that. As we look, there's no excuse for not knowing what your job is. No, there's not. We look at some of these national headlines that are coming out. As we all do, as you've heard me speak so many times, I respect the police beyond and above because they work hard. But boy, have they got a mess in Texas of that school shooting. The police chief now is saying that he didn't realize he was in charge. Really. You had officers begging to go in. He wouldn't allow them. He was in charge. Says he didn't have his radio. Okay. Doesn't add up, does it? I didn't think he believed that either. That's a horrible case there. I wasn't there. I wasn't in his place. But if you don't have a radio, I'm sure that some other officer had it and could inform you of what's going on. Oh, and police also have that neat little thing now. They send text to each other. And from dispatch that goes, ding, 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 this is going on. Is all the best I can come up with that. I don't have the answers. I can't accuse anyone of anything that I don't know the rest of the story to. But that one's a hard one to swallow, in my opinion. It is. We have now, this is just so horrible, as we look at you have to bring the good with the bad. We lost some of our boys this week. California is where it is. 5 Marines have been identified. Crash is what happened to them. A U.S. military aircraft crash, taking Corporal Nathan E. Carlson. He was 21 years old. Also, Captain Nicholas P., his name I may mispronounce, Laspano. He was 31, from Rockingham, New Hampshire. He's the oldest of the crew that perished. Corporal Seth Raption, 21 years old, Johnson City, Wyoming. We also had Corporal John Sachs. He was 33 of California. That makes him the oldest that was involved in that. And the youngest of the crew, Corporal Evan Strickland. He was 19 years old, from New Mexico. We pass along condolences to their family. Again, I apologize for mispronouncing a couple of those names there, but I meant well. I'll work on my pronunciation. I have to spell it out. But we pass along condolences to those who served our country, who gave all. Maryland, as we look at some of the headlines that happened there, a concrete worker, you've heard of this, to where it was a shooting there. 3 co-workers were shot. This guy worked his entire shift, then waited, killed 3 of his co-workers and injured 2 others. We got some mixed up people in this world, I know. It's not looking good for our friends that you may watch. A lot of people love that show. Chris Lee Knows Best. It's going to get bad as we wait. That they're releasing photos of he finally opened the front door and there were news crews waiting as he walked to get some cookies from his daughter. He's 53 years old. His wife, Julie, who is 49, they've been accused. They're waiting for sentences. Not as past accused, they've been sentenced at this point. They have been found guilty on this. As we look at this, fraud is what they did. Todd and Julie allegedly used falsified bank statements and audits to fraudulently obtain $30 million in loans from banks. That's a big no-no there. And it's a whole long list of things that they're going to charge them with sentencing. 30 years is what they face. We'll watch that. The Biden administration, if you're a smoker, they're getting ready to reduce the amount of nicotine that are in cigarettes. That's the next thing that is coming. They're trying to get it to a level to where you won't get hooked on it. If you're a smoker, you might not like that. There's others that don't like smoking. At one time in my life, I did smoke. I quit. I urge you to do so if you can. It's a tough habit to get rid of. Let's see here. A flight attendant. Boy, this is making headlines this morning as we look at this. In Utah, don't hear a lot from Utah. She was a flight attendant. She turned into a baker. Started a new business. Quit being a flight attendant. Problem is, she took the identity of a passed away baby. She obtained a lot of things, including $1.5 million in COVID relief funds, and not her name. She's been arrested. Whew. Getting bad there, isn't it? We've got your forecast next, so you can plan out what's going on with the forecast this morning. Stay close. We've got a lot more on the way here to let you know exactly what's going on in our neighborhood.
Spring is here, and it's time to quit spending all of your weekend cutting grass when you could step up to a Skag zero-turn mower. Freeman Tractor in Collinsville has the #1 rated zero-turn mower, Skag, with cutting widths from 36 inches to 72 inches. Skag, the #1 choice of professional landscapers because they know nothing outcuts or outlasts a Skag. 0% financing for 48 months with payments starting as low as $129 a month. Stop by Freeman Tractor on Highway 494 and see coleslaw or buttermilk. Rockhouse Gun and Pawn is having a 10-year anniversary celebration blowout. Absolutely no sales tax on used firearms. 25% off all gun cleaning and gun care accessories. And a free box of ammo with every purchase of a new Glock pistol. 50% off all pawn electronics. 50% off on pawn tools. 25% off on all jewelry. Huge markdowns throughout the store. It's the Rock House 10-year anniversary celebration blowout. 5430 Highway 19 North.
And welcome back. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. Amanda, as I look at some of the comments, says she's never touched cigarettes in her life. Probably a good thing. They were addictive. One of those things that stimulates you to stay awake. And that's how I got hooked on it back in my early days of working that graveyard shift, the overnight. That's how I got hooked on that. Helped stay awake with a cup of coffee. The two just seemed to kind of go together. Used to, as you'll remember in the movies, that was the thing. Everybody did that. And at some point, even back, y'all remember the ashtrays in hospitals? And then one day, whoof, we all found out that it wasn't as good as it should be for your body. It started going away. I saw some of the comments about mayor. Oh, no, I am not an elected official. I could never do that. But I'll say this. Maybe y'all could talk to this guy. Anybody remember the guy, Chris Reed? Maybe he should run for mayor. I'll talk to Chris, see if y'all can talk him into that. No one has announced. I think Jimmy may have said that he may run for re-election. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think anybody's announced their candidacy for that. Possibly Percy could be back into that. We'll see what happens. Mayor. Y'all pick somebody. Pick somebody that you think will truly do the city a great cause. Do it justice. Y'all pick that person. Get behind them. Rally. Knock on doors. Make sure everybody knows that for the safety of our town that we need somebody that's going to be a true leader that will take care of folks. Get behind them. We got, 2.5 years? Y'all work on this. All it takes is a community effort to put the right person in. It doesn't end there. You also got to go over to the city council. You got to make sure that the city council and the mayor's office all work together. Even when Percy was in with it, he even talked about sometimes of a great plan that was so good for the city, and then the city council didn't see it that way. Or they got to work together for the betterment, regardless of what your party is, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or you're an independent. You have to, when you take that oath in the office, look at the benefit of everybody. You can't just be one party. You've got to look at everybody. You got to protect everybody because everybody looks to you. And that's what I want. Now, I'm not a resident of the city limits, but I go in there just like you do every day. I want my safety. I want this town to be great. I want the county to do great. As we expand, as we move into, can you believe this? 2022. Been a long time since I walked into Northeast Elementary, 1976, as I entered first grade. Things have changed. We want it to be better. Let's make some right decisions, get the right people in the right places. What that answer is still be determined, but y'all need to get together, rally behind somebody. Let's look at weather this morning. As we looked at radar just a few moments ago, let's get into what is all going on with the weather today. Let's jump on that.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
As we pull it up, expect this today, clearing and sunny. We've got a few clouds out now, but don't worry. By late afternoon, all that's going to fade away. We'll get that sunshine. 91 in Meridian as we go northward up Highway 15 in those areas toward Philadelphia. Highway 19, look at there. It's going to be warm. 90 degrees all the way through Louisville, Mississippi State. 90 degrees as well to the south. 91 in Hattiesburg. A little bit cloudier down that way toward Natchez, those beautiful homes that we still got left. Beautiful town there. As we come across that state line into Bama, 90 degrees. Selma getting better there, as well as Clanton, Alabama. I'll go ahead there. Fayetteville. Spotty showers. A few of those areas there in the southeastern portion of Alabama. Now, as we look, this dense fog has basically burned off by now. I should have got this on earlier, shouldn't I? As we look at the heat stress, and this is what is coming tomorrow. Got to be prepared for this. If you've got to do work outside either late Sunday afternoon or on Monday, be prepared for this. This west side of the state from Jackson up to the Mississippi Delta are expecting the heat index to be somewhere around 110. Now, the Meridian area, and that stretches all the way west here to Jackson and right across that Bama state line. If you're listening to me from Bama, we're looking at about 105. That's hot. If you're not used to it, it's bad on you and make you fall out. I've seen heat stress. I don't know if y'all ever dealt with that before. It's awful. It is awful there. Be careful. We look at our temperatures of what's coming over the next 6 to 10 days. We'll get normal for a day or two in about 8 days or so. But right now, Texas is whipped up on us with some heat as it's dead center across Louisiana, Texas, and all the way into Alabama. Almost it's into Florida as well. That's hot. Now let's look at our temperatures. Here we go for the next 7 days. This is what's forecasted. We want you to be well aware of what to expect here. Today, we've got that high being 89, and again, that dense fog should be burning off by now. 91 later today. Tonight, down to 71. We'll have a partly cloudy sky. By tomorrow, sunshine returns, high of 95, and look at this, be ready, 102 is what it will feel like outside. 102. Could get as high as 105. We'll get down to 73 tomorrow night, and by Monday morning, as you head off to work, going to be hot. 96 is what is projected there. We start looking there. We got 95 here, 96. The week is going to just be plumb full of this. Let's go another week into this, and we get 98, 99 degrees. Whew, it's hot. Some of these days could cross 100. Again, this is projected. We all know how the weather changes within 24 hours. Sometimes every 10 minutes it changes. But it's going to be hot. It's going to be a long, hot summer, as they say. As we look to the Gulf Coast, what do we have going on? Absolutely nothing. That's great. From the National Hurricane Center, no new tropical cyclones are expected over the next 5 days. That's great. We're protected. We don't want that coming. Let me say this. If you have not cranked up your generator, we're just getting into all of this. Sometimes these things come up on it. Make sure your generator's working. Power outages that do happen in other areas makes it bad for us. You never know with a hurricane when it will come. Make sure you got the right equipment going. As we turn to Chet's Paint and Body, let's find out about fishing today. Today's June 11th. The wind is going to be calm, becoming northwest around 5 miles an hour in the afternoon. Best times to fish today. First major time will be this morning, 10:30 until about 1. Then we'll have another chance there late in the afternoon, right at dark. Not as great as it is this morning, but hope you can get out and enjoy yourself. Well, that's going to wrap up our broadcast for this morning. We'll be back Monday morning with another broadcast, and I'm going to be here behind the scenes throughout this weekend when things happen to let you know. If you see something, let us know as well. Inbox us so we can tell the others, let the masses know. Whether it's crime or something good. It doesn't always have to be crime. We get a lot of great pictures, too. Do appreciate that. I want to remind you, before long, this is going to be happening for us. It's a big move for us in the Meridian area. As you know, I do 2 shows a day. I do 6:30, and then we do another show at 8 with Candace. Starting July 4th, mark your calendars. I want you to be aware of this. We'll be moving to the Fox network. Fox 30. We'll be able to reach a lot more homes as we join and team up with Fox. What that means is you'll be able to get us here as well, online, and you'll be also be able to watch the 8 a.m. show live on television also. And what that does, it'll be part of all of your satellite systems. Those that live in the rural route that can't pick up a TV station by antenna or by cable, you'll be able to get this on the bird. That's what they call it. But Fox 30, we're excited for that. That begins next month. July 4th is when we'll kick that off. Hope you'll join us and support us as we make this move here. It's big and long time coming. I'm excited over it. We'll be able to Tell more folks about what's going on there. Again, if you have not joined me on YouTube, follow, like, subscribe. Get on that as well. We've got a lot of folks here on Facebook, but we're also on Twitter. We carry it there, and we're also on there. All of that is to have a backup. Get something not working on one, you've got an alternate route to be able to watch. We'll do that. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Anita, good morning. Donnie Page, glad to see you there also. Tanya Branding, hadn't talked to you in a while. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, happened to us, she said about that generator. They gum up. If you don't use them, you leave this gas that we've got these days. It's got that corn in it, messes up the carburetor. Make sure you got it going. I always drain mine if you're not going to run it for a while. Disconnect that gas line from it. Let it run till it quits. Clean it. Put stabilizer in it. Stay built. Because you just don't use those as much. When you need it, you need it. We've got a lot of advertisers that also sell that. Big thank you to our advertisers that support us, get behind us as we go. Thank y'all so much. I'll leave you alone, let your Saturday morning get underway. We'll be back as always as things happen in our area to let you know. Thanks much for joining the Scotty Ray Report this Saturday morning.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: